From teams playing against themselves in a final to a player who played for 3 different countries at the World Cup he featured in. Here are the 12 facts that will make you scratch your head, starting with a fact that's too weird to be true. At 12, the word soccer. I know we've all wanted to behead that American friend of ours who calls football soccer, but what if I told you the name soccer is as British as tea and crumpets? That's right, buddy, the English are the ones who came up with the name soccer. Back in 1863, when football was formalised, it was known as association football, and it had to be called that because another variation of football was being played, called rugby football. Let's be honest, association football sounds like a mouthful to say, so they changed it to soccer, while rugby football was just known as rugby later on. There was now only one sport with the name football in it, well, in the UK at least. With the rise of gridiron football overshadowing association football in the United States, everybody assumed that if you were talking about football, you were referring to the sport with the egg-shaped ball. That left the less popular form of football with the name soccer. So basically, we have the British to blame for that. At 11, ironically, the blame game isn't anything strange to British football, especially this player who gets fingers pointed at him anytime things go wrong. I'm talking about the man, the player, and the fridge himself, Harry Maguire. Back in 2014, United's £80 million defender was playing at Hull City before getting loaned to Championship side Wigan, who suffered relegation. When his loan spell ended and his return to Hull City, the Tigers got relegated from the Premier League in the same season. But hey, our good old chap Harry is a bit of a relegation specialist, because this was only 2 of the 4 times he got relegated. But here's what's crazy. Maguire is the only player in history to suffer 4 relegations and still end up captaining both England and United. So at 10, Maguire may be working miracles, but he's definitely not alone, because this next footballer played in 3 World Cups. Sounds unimpressive, huh? Well, he played 3 World Cups for 3 different countries. Starting with France 98 World Cup, a 20-year-old Stanković played for his beloved Yugoslavia, and Yugoslavia went to "we gonna see ya" after he dissolved 5 years before the 2006 World Cup in Germany. So where was Stanky going to play? Since Belgrade was the birthplace of the former Inter Milan midfielder, he had the option of playing for Serbia and Montenegro, but during the World Cup, Montenegro held a referendum and decided to separate from Serbia. Because of this, 4 years later at the South African World Cup, he was playing for the Serbian team. 103 caps over 15 years and 3 nations and 3 World Cups. This dragon was a multi-international midfielder maestro. At 9, you know who else is a multi-international midfielder maestro? Our favourite Belgian blondie, Kevin De Bruyne. I know you're wondering what's multi-international about him if he's played for Belgium all his life. Well, Kevin De Bruyne was eligible to play for another country that starts with the letter B. Any idea which country that might be? Alright, I'll just let you know, because we'd be here all day if you had to try and guess. Kevin De Bruyne was eligible to play for the East African nation of Burundi. But how is that possible? You see, Burundi is where Kevin's mum, Mrs. Anna De Bruyne, was born. So at a point in his football career, he could have represented them. Just thinking about just how De Bruyne would have stuck out like a sore thumb is hilarious. Not to mention that Burundi isn't exactly a notable footballing nation. The 2019 AFCON was the first ever appearance in the tournament. But hey, it's not as if he's won anything with Belgium, so his career wouldn't be much different if it was Burundi International, and it's time on his side to win a trophy with the Red Devils. At 8, but time's not against everybody, especially not the oldest professional football player in the world, Miura Kazuyoshi. Kazuyoshi made his debut in football in 1986 from Santos when he was 19 years old. Do you know how long ago that was? Messi wasn't even born yet, and Jose Mourinho was still playing football. Fast forward 3.5 decades and King Kazuz is still going strong at 57 years of age. I'm sure his grandkids get really stoked watching him play and telling everyone's at school. At 7, and speaking of people's grandkids, here's one story that would shock you. But first, hit that subscribe button if you've been having fun on the show. Anyway, ever since Fergie left the managerial role at United, they haven't given much to look forward to. But you know what hurts more than seeing your team get beaten by others? Your ex's grandson raking havoc at Old Trafford. You see, when Sir Alex Ferguson was younger, like teenage young, he dated his first true love, Doreen Carling, but they broke up when she was to move to New York. It would be easy not to make a big deal out of it, but Doreen Carling wasn't Trent Alexander-Arnold's grandmother. The Liverpool wonder kid's grandmother used to be in love with the former United gaffer. It makes you wonder, what would it be of Arnold if Doreen stuck around and maybe married Sir Alex? Would Trent have become a Red Devil? Where would Liverpool be without him? I guess we'll never know. At 6, but that's alright, because just like life in football, you don't have all the answers. Because how does a manager go almost a decade without losing a home game? 125 wins and 25 draws across 4 different clubs. Mourinho played 107 different teams at home and none could beat him. I don't think you understand how crazy that is. Ronaldo played in 3 World Cups in the span of that time. There had also been 3 different American presidents between Mourinho's 150 home game run. But like all good things, they have to come to an end. And in 2012, Mourinho's Madrid faced Sporting Gijón, who somehow won. Nevertheless, I don't see anybody replicating this, but how was the Portuguese tactician able to pull this off? But we aren't done yet with these head-scratching facts. This next one will leave your mouth open. When the fierce rivals face each other, it's always a sight, and when the matchup is a final, it's absolute cinema. But the 1980 Copa del Rey was different. It was Real Madrid versus Real Madrid. Technically, it was their reserve team, Real Madrid Castella. They made it to the finals, and so did the senior team. And as expected, the senior team utterly destroyed the reserve team. Either way, it was a day for every Madridista to be happy. At 4, but if you think one team being in a final is funny, how about a player doing everything in a football match almost as if he is playing bingo? It's almost a great feeling to score for your club and to get an assist in one match, but scoring an own goal is shameful, and getting booked just adds to insult to injury. But what happened if a player did all of that in one match? We could ask Gareth Bale, because he lived through this in a game against Liverpool back in 2012. When Spurs hosted the Merseyside team, Gareth Bale was on fire as he got involved in all 3 goals. He assisted the first one and he scored the next 2. Just that the last one went in the wrong net. And if that wasn't dramatic enough, he also picked up a yellow card in the game. Bale must surely loving being the centre of attention. And at 3, but not as much as Gary Lineker loves to stay out of trouble, in 1986 the Golden Boot winner has played 518 matches and not once did the referee show him a card. Because of this, he got a Fair Play award from FIFA for sportsmanship. Do you know how crazy it is that he never took off his shirt to celebrate or got in hassle with anybody? Gary Lineker's character is priceless. But at 2, but not everything in football is. Money has a big thing to do with the game, and this player might have too much to take playing football seriously. You probably don't know this player who's richer than Messi and Ronaldo combined. Meet Faiq Bolkiah, the Bruneian footballer who currently plays for the Thai top flight team Rathrubie FC. The only reason why this playing football is rather than unknown league but still worth about 13 billion is because he's the nephew of the Sultan of Brunei. Football is more or less a hobby for him. How cool is that? And at 1, since we're on the topic of wealth, few teams have a rich history of football heritage like Barcelona. I don't think there's been a point in their history where they were ever viewed as losers. From La Liga to the Champions League, Barca have often defeated every team they have faced in all competitions. Even though they've suffered defeat sometimes, the statistics always point out that they are more likely to win. But there's one team that Barca have never beaten in a competitive match. That's right, guys. This team has a 100% winning record against Barca, and it's not a team from Europe's top 5 league. It's Dundee United. The Catalans have faced them 4 times and lost in each. The two teams first met in 66 and 67 in the City Fairs Cup, with the Dundee beating them Barca 2-1 in Spain and 2-0 in Scotland. The two teams would meet again 20 years later in the Champions League quarter-finals, and history would repeat itself as Dundee scored 3 goals in the 1-0 and the 2-1 victories against Barca. So much for being the Giants of Spain, and there you have it, 12 football facts that I'm sure had you scratching your head. Which facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comment sections, and if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our uploads.